Yeah.
All right, good evening. This is, I'll call the meeting to order. This is the Tuesday, October 7th, 2025 meeting of the West Newbury Planning Board. This is a regular meeting of the Planning Board. It does include a public hearing. So we may have interest when that begins, but we have a lot of regular business to attend to both before and after that hearing. In addition to the members of the Planning Board who are here in person, Deb Hamilton, our fifth regular member, is attending remotely. And Tim Cronin, our new associate member, I had hoped would be here. I don't see him yet, and I don't know if he's online, so we'll see. In addition, we have town planner Christopher Riley and other public officials, town manager James Jennings, two select board members, Wendy Reed and Chris Weil. We also have town council Rob Stein and Merrimack Valley Planning Commission rep, I'll call you. Consultant, Ian Burns here. Robin and Ian are here, of course, to answer questions largely regarding the MBTA Communities Act public hearing, but there may be other times when they will be called upon to speak. The first item on the agenda is an A&R for 423-0 Middle Street. Can we see the drawing, please? I think the plan is in order. This application is by Gorman Homes LLC. I think we may have a representative here from, there's Tim. Mr. Gorman is here. Okay. Chris, do you want to present anything first before I just speak or?
Madam Chair, for you, the board, this is an A&R application. Obviously, it's for the establishment of 4 lots total from 2 existing lots. And so you can see on the plan in the middle between the little lot on the front with the existing structure, this is a line to be extinguished. That's the existing lot line between the little lot with the structure and the larger vacant lots. So what you have here is lot splits into lots 1, 2, and 3, and then a parcel A not to be a buildable lot.
Okay.
And so everything conforms to our zoning bylaws. It has adequate access and frontage on the street. So it is a properly prepared plan as far as I can see.
All right, thank you. Mr. Gorman, did you have anything to add?
I think that's it, really, it's pretty simple.
It looked pretty straightforward to me. Planning board members, questions, comments? I know Ray is gonna have some graphic comments.
Well, just want to be clear, the southernmost portion, which is rectangular, that's intended to end up as part of lot 2 or 3.
My label parcel A,
No,
That's lot 2.
oh, that's lot 2. It's the
And
description of the lots is confusing. So if we scroll down a little bit, Chris, so you can see Middle Street at the top. No, the other way, sorry. Scroll up, I guess that would be. These 3 lots all front on Middle Street. The lot to the left, where there's an existing house, will be the new lot 1.
yes,
That next lot in the middle is lot 2. They just chose to label it in a very inconvenient
right.
and confusing spot on the drawing.
And I'm not clear
Where it is.
where the boundaries are for the proposed lot 2.
Okay, Chris, do you have a pointer function that you can show us? Trace.
I'd ask the
I can
applicant,
use my finger, how's that?
Yeah, you wanna go up there and trace around?
maybe that would be the easiest way,
Yeah.
but
The
yeah,
properties
because
are
you gotta,
there. So
Watch your step there.
Sure. So, lot 1, lot 2. Lot 3, which is the big lot, follows this around all the way down here, comes back around here. Where the existing stone walls are.
then I'm sure there's some artifacts on their existing stone walls that make it slightly confusing, but.
Okay, I just wanna mute myself. Yeah, it's fine. Just a minute, I'm just gonna, not even listening.
Okay.
To answer your question, Ray?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Does this present confusion to others in the future?
What's that?
They're not gonna have you standing there pointing to where the things.
No, I think it's distinguished here.
I think the solid lines do represent the lot lines.
All they do is cut until the solid lines run into stone walls, but whatever.
But they go through them, so.
It frankly is confusing, you're absolutely correct.
There are some
Yeah.
places, for example, where the stone wall represents what would otherwise be a solid line.
Right.
Yes,
That's
lot
okay.
between lot 3
And
and
there
parcel
are some
A.
places where the stone wall represents the presence of a stone wall only.
It's true.
And that's in lot 3. Midway down, and.
Exactly.
So, Madam Chair, these all have deed references from there.
Yeah, right.
So
If someone,
that would be clear, at
right,
least for
right,
the
exactly.
great guy.
Well, I guess I would say, so if you look at those, the reverse L shape where lot A is separated, lot 3 is separated from parcel A. In sort of defense of the graphics of this, it does give a dimension.
Right.
And then it gives another
Right.
dimension, so I think it
So,
can be
so as
followed.
Chris says, these are tied down by surveyed lots. So-
Right, oh,
You can see the.
Yeah, it's just, you do understand that it presents a problem.
I do, and the other issue is that, you know, the checklist requires all the stone walls to be shown.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's great. I guess I
So,
just,
I mean, and
that, I don't think it matters here. I just would have included a little parenthetical below. And those extensions to the south, you know.
Yeah.
Lot 3 continued or lot, something like that, but that's fine.
Yes.
But we just run into this on occasion that there is one little addition to the notes that might have been illuminating, but I don't think it's gonna be an issue for you.
Okay.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'll try to get a look at these plans before they're submitted. Often we don't get that chance, but,
Right,
and, maybe we could change the application requirements.
yeah, over time,
Too.
we'll iterate this.
West Newbury allows what are called, so-called pork chop lots, so you get a lot of
Yeah,
challenging graphics,
Yeah.
when you have a, that's.
Well, yes, and although it doesn't affect how I'm going to vote on the A and R,
Mhm.
this is one of those divisions of land that I find. So where do I use unfortunate? I mean, it
troubling,
makes it all
is it
work.
troubling?
It makes it all work by the numbers.
I don't know.
I don't write the regulations.
That's right, this
It's
is
there for a reason.
exactly.
So
it's
that
endemic to the
comment
R.
can't be directed.
It is not direct though.
Yeah.
At you, it's just, I felt a need to throw it out there.
Yeah.
All right, any other comments from board members?
Yeah.
Over there.
Does anyone else want to have a motion? Someone's got it.
You're so good at it, and the chair can make the motion. Robert's rules.
I move that the planning board endorse this plan as one not requiring approval under the subdivision code.
Second.
Any more discussion?
We have a remote member, so we're gonna have to poll in the remote fashion.
Deb, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All right, thank you. Did you have any questions before we finalize the vote?
Well, I don't know that it's germane, but I just wondered whether Mr. Gorman planned to keep the cape on lot 1, or is that likely to be rebuilt?
It-
That's actually gone.
Oh, it's already gone, he says.
Okay, thank you.
And also, you're right, not your mister. All right, in that case, all in favor? And Barney, aye.
Ray Cook, aye.
Deb Hamilton, I.
Ryan Murphy, aye.
Rob Phillips, aye.
Okay, so it was unanimous. Endorsement, I guess I should call it.
So you can come in and sign the Mylar,
I'm gonna sign the Mylars.
I'll let you know when we have the
Yeah.
public signature.
No, it's ready.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was here for this. So, typically when we end up getting enough signatures, do you let everybody else that hasn't come in, let them know that no more signatures are required?
Yeah, when they're able to record it,
Yeah,
then, yeah,
meaning letting us know.
we can do that.
Thanks.
Now, we're gonna exercise our reserved right to take items on the agenda out of order. We have another administrative matter before us, and it's shown on your agenda if you're following along under general business, number 4, administrative details, D, Roman numeral little 1, which is a covenant for the Eagles Nest definitive subdivision. And I think we have a representative here, for this applicant. I'm gonna recognize Attorney Lisa Mead.
Um, Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. It's actually great to have you guys back in hybrid fashion. So next time, hopefully I'll see you in person. We're basically here to get an endorsement of the plan and we've provided the covenant. The reason it's taken so long to get a final plan to you with Mylars is that part of this property is registered land. And so the subdivision plan had to be approved by the land court. The engineer has taken care of that. The plan before you has been approved by the land court, and we'd request the board endorse the plan. And once you do that, we will, and we've also shown you the executed covenant for my covenant. We will then record everything on both the recorded side as well as the registered side. And the applicant will be on his way doing all the preliminary work that you need to have him do.
All right, thank you. Chris, do you have any comments?
So Madam Chair, I know there's been some questions among board members about why a covenant. We were seeking a bond. That's generally the preferred form of surety, but it is one of the 4 acceptable forms of performance surety that the subdivision regs and the subdivision control law allow the applicant to propose, and this one's properly prepared. Attorney Mead obviously knows stuff as far as this is concerned. So, you have a properly prepared covenant. The town is protected. It is allowed by the subdivision regs. So I would recommend a motion and vote to approve the covenant, and that'll allow the plans to be signed at your leisure, so they can be recorded at the registry.
Board members, any questions? Comments?
If I may.
Yes.
Just so people looking in who aren't present, this is a plan well known to us. This is a plan that we've reviewed before. We dealt with a bunch of issues in the past. So the actual plan for construction it hasn't been the issue. It's been the surety to protect the town, and that's where we are now, just in case
Thank you.
anybody's tuning in.
That's-
Right.
I should have explained that. Thank you very much. Yes,
Well,
Mr. Jackson.
it's 2 things, not just the surety, but also this had been approved prior to the issue of needing to go into land court as well.
Yes.
Yes,
So this was a done deal, but there was the covenant, and then there was the land court. So this is as close to an A and R as you can get.
Yeah, well.
Well, the covenant is
Internet
satisfactory.
Speaking, please.
Just
It
say
doesn't
that-
preclude us from seeking a bond at some point as the project progresses, so we can revisit that, but right now they are entitled to,
Right, at a future date, we should probably discuss this whole issue of the bonds and the covenants, because it is a tricky area.
Okay, yeah, I will just say, to add to what you said, the board approved this project in June of 2024. And the process through land court, et cetera, was protracted, and all of the details were taken care of by December of 2024, so.
so Madam Chair, I recommend motion to approve the covenant as proposed and submitted, so that the plans of record can be endorsed, signed by you, and then reported to the registry.
Yes, so I will move to accept the covenant as submitted, to allow for the endorsement and recording of the approved plans and record. Is there a second?
So,
Any more discussion? No. Hearing none, I'm gonna poll the board again. All in favor? Ann Bardine, aye.
Ray Cook, aye.
Deb Hamilton, I.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Rob Phillips, aye.
It passes. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank
You
you.
just need you to come in and sign at your leisure,
Again.
each page of the,
This one is gonna take some time, because I have to sign every page of the plan set, so. Set aside, a little time in the next few days.
thank you, Attorney.
Thank you.
Where would we be signing this? We would sign it in the.
It'll be in the planning office, so you can come
Right,
whenever you have some time.
great. And if the door is locked, it'll be on the table and Jen can get us in.
Yes, we'll make sure you have that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Is it 7:15 according to the fine print anyway?
Yes, then let me,
All right, well. Since it's 7:15, we will proceed to the next item on the agenda, which is the public hearing. The MBTA Communities Multi-Family Overlay Zoning Bylaws and Zoning Map Amendments. For special town meeting, fall 2025. Will the planner please read the release?
Motion to open the public hearing? Okay.
Motion to open the public hearing.
Someone have a second.
Second, did you just second?
No.
All in favor?
I
Raise it.
Okay, all in favor? Everybody aye.
Reading of the legal notice, Town of West Newbury Planning Board will hold a hybrid public hearing on Tuesday, October 2025 at 7:15 p.m. to consider and report on the board's recommendations on the following proposed amendments to the Town of West Newbury zoning bylaw and zoning map. 1, amend the zoning bylaw, section 3, establishment of districts to add reference to a new MBTA Communities Multifamily Overlay District and to update the zoning map accordingly. 2, amend the zoning bylaw to insert a new section 8.4 entitled MBTA Communities Multifamily Overlay, in which multifamily housing is allowed as of right in accordance with section 3A of the zoning act. The proposed section 8.4 contains comprehensive provisions applicable to this new overlay district, including but not limited to purpose, establishment, applicability, definitions, permitted uses, dimensional standards, off-street parking exceptions, general development standards, affordability requirements, site plan review, and severability. 3, add a district known as MBTA Communities Multifamily Overlay District to the town's zoning map as an overlay district on assessed parcels numbered R14-6, R14-6A, R14-4A, and a portion of R14-3A with a land area of approximately 7.6 acres. And I can dispense with the rest of the reading of the board folks.
Thank you very much. Okay, just to let members of the public know, there are a few members of the public here. I think there are more online. I can't tell how many. I'll let you know how we're gonna proceed with the hearing. The reason for this hearing is to inform the public about the articles which will appear on the warrant of the special town meeting, which at this point, I believe is still scheduled for Monday, November 3rd. And to provide members of the, an opportunity for members of the board and public to ask questions, make comments, and give any feedback that would be useful for the planning board to hear as we consider a recommendation that we will make to the select board for inclusion in the FinCom booklet and thereby to the town. There have a number of documents submitted in regard to this particular public hearing. Many of them are listed in the agenda. We have access to all of those online should we wish to consult any of them. And we also have various experts here so that I feel confident that by the time we close this public hearing, questions will have been answered to the best of everyone's ability. I'm going to start by introducing Wendy Reed, who is the chair of the select board. The select board is the sponsor of this article. It's basically their article, and the requirement for this board, the planning board, is to conduct the public hearing because it's a zoning thing. So Wendy Reed is also the chair of the MBTA working group, which is responsible for this particular document. And so I'll introduce Ms. Reed. Okay.
This is probably the first in West Newbury that select board made a presentation at an able joint hearing, but
All right,
here we are. So as Ann said, this is a select board sponsored article. You can go to the next slide. Under Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 5, planning board and select board members can, or as an entity, can bring zoning bylaws to town meeting. There also in that section is a requirement for that zoning bylaw to be referred to the planning board for the hearing. From this, we'll take public comment as well as comment from the planning board, make any adjustments that we and our technical experts think are viable, and then that will be included in the finance committee booklet before town meeting. So at town meeting, the select board would make the motion. The planning board would be invited to make a recommendation on town meeting floor, and then the residents will vote. So in terms of the site selection process, I'm not gonna dive deep into this. I just want to kind of give you a flavor for the process that was followed. All of this information is both on the town website on the project page as well as the MBTA working group page. Essentially, after the failure at Springtown meeting of this bylaw, the select board wanted to reset and kind of change the focus of the process and make it a resident-driven process. So to do that, we sent out a letter asking residents for input as to which location they thought would be an appropriate MBTA location. We got about 40 responses, really thoughtful input, both in terms of the locations as well as kind of the general types of property that residents thought would be appropriate. So the select board then established a working group to kind of sift through all those responses. That was made up of a member of the planning board, who's Rob Phillips, a member of the select board, which was myself, the town manager, Angus Jennings, the town planner at that time, Katrina O'Leary, and the fifth member was a board committee member that we knew had voted against the bylaw in the spring. We wanted to try to build as robust representation of opinions as we could. And that was Scott Goldthwait, who's on the board of assessors. As an appointed working group, this group was bound by open meeting law. So all the meetings were public. We provided a Zoom link to all the meetings. Agendas were posted 48 hours in advance. We also,
Sorry, Wendy, I just noticed the camera wasn't picking you up, so I want to make sure that you can and hear what you're saying.
the other thing is that, the minutes are all on the webpage. So, in addition to the working group, we also had Ian Burns from NUPC. He attended most of the meetings of the working group, as well as provided technical support in between meetings. So he's a really valuable member of the group. Out of the 40 responses from the public, 28 specific sites were identified, either parcels or groups of parcels. The working group went through and were able to eliminate 9 of those as just not eligible because the land was excluded, either because there was a conservation restriction or the acreage wasn't enough, or there were public or private rights of way that precluded their use. We then screened another 12 or so parcels that we felt were not consistent with the general input we received as to what kind of parcels would be appropriate. So then we got down to 7 locations, as the bullet says. And part of the HLC, the Housing Livable Communities, this is the state entity that implements the MBTA law. You're required to run a compliance model as part of the process. So it's set up that you can do it on your own, but we had Ian do it for us because he's done it for a lot of towns and has experience in it. So the 7 locations that were remaining, only 6 of those were eligible based on that modeling. So then the next step was reaching out to the owners of those 6 remaining parcels. We did not want a hostile situation where the owner was not in favor of this being brought to town meeting. So based on that input from owners, we were down to 3 locations. And the working group made a presentation to the select board and to the public on July 31st. We sent out abutter notices to each of those 3 locations. Although it was not required, we thought that that was a good way to make sure everybody was informed. And we sent those 3 locations to the HLC for pre-adoption review. So for those of you who aren't aware, this is not approval, it's just part of the process where they provide technical feedback, things they want you to address before you bring it to town meeting. So all 3 locations that went through review were eligible, and the technical comments were pretty easily addressed. So then the select board had a meeting on August 28th and took the inputs from the working group in terms of pros and cons, and selected the Housing Authority District as the MBTA district. So the next slide shows an aerial view of that. I would first say that in general, public lands are excluded from consideration under the MBTA program unless they fit one of 3 categories. And land owned by a housing authority is one of those categories that allows use of public land. So you see here on the left is the housing authority owned parcel where the senior housing is located. And then on the right is another housing authority parcel on Hills Court. Can you put the cursor there, Angus, so people can see that? Yeah. So the Hills Court parcel is only 2 acres. The housing authority location on the west side is about 4.4 acres. So on their own, neither one meets the 5.8 minimum acreage required for MBTA locations. However, by including the town parking lot in the middle, even though it's not developable because it's a parking lot, a public right of way, it allows you to consider both of those housing authority parcels as a continuous location. So this is, we're calling it a district. So a couple things I wanted to point out in terms of access. Hills Court obviously is up Bachelor Street, so there's frontage there. The other parcel, the larger parcel, is completely landlocked, which is, really surprising. The driveway that's outlined in the green dashed lines, that's practically how people get in and out, and get access to the senior living. And in fact, the town did grant an easement to the housing authority to use that access. So we satisfy both of the requirements for both of these parcels, under HLC for access. I think the final thing I want to point out is that, this is a housing location. There's not much room to build out in terms of footprint, but there is room to build up. The senior, housing is a single story, so that could be built up to increase the number of units. Okay, that's it. The next slide just summarizes what I just talked about, in case this is put online so people will know what it said. Then the next slide just talks about the advantages. So this is what the working group identified as the pros for this property, and it's what the select board based their decision to select it on. First is that it's close to town services and amenities. Obviously, the town office building is right there. Public emergency response is also close by, fire department, police. The senior center as well as the annex are also close by. And then, a half mile to the west is our town center, post office, food mart, pizza place, and then a little more than a half mile to the east is the town library and town hall. So it's really placed right in the center of town. It's also accessible to transportation options. Being halfway between Haverhill and Newburyport, we're close to, or that provides access to both of the MBTA stations, which makes us an adjacent community. Also ready access to Route 95 and Route 495. And we now have bus service provided by MEVA that runs down 113, and so there'll be a bus stop out front of the town office building. The third bullet, it's already developed land. This is not an HLC requirement, but it was clearly input received from town residents. That they prefer that we choose a parcel that was already developed instead of an open field or a wooded area where we would lose the ecological value. So the working group thought that that was an advantage of this location. It was also readily supported by the housing authority director, Tracy Watson. She was really happy to do anything she could to support the town and comply with the MBTA law. So based on all this, the working group and the select board feel like this location satisfies both the letter and spirit of the MBTA zoning law. I just want to touch briefly on the zoning bylaw changes. I think we all have, not we all, but many people are focused on the location as the big thing, but really this is all about the zoning, and the zoning that was proposed in Springtown meeting is very strong. I think it's the strongest zoning we have in town right now. I mean, really prescriptive measures about architectural details, parking, all kinds of things. So really the only changes that we're proposing be made to that zoning are to make it specific to this parcel. These are the changes. We'll need a slightly greater density. That's because the parking lot acreage was removed from the total, as well as some of the rights of way. So instead of 15 units per acre, it'll have to be 16 units per acre. It's not a huge change, but it needs to be documented in the bylaw. Additionally, because the prior bylaw was modeled for the Knapp property, which was a 19-acre parcel, only part of it was going to be developed. We had a development area and protected open space in the bylaw. Those two terms are no longer applicable to the housing authority district. Also the mixed use provision, there was, an option for the net property to have limited commercial, uses of the property, and that's not really, appropriate for the housing authority. And then the final set of changes is just ministerial changes, just to make it consistent with the housing authority location. We had legal review that identified some citations and that kind of thing. So that's all redlined in the handout. I'm sure the planning board will discuss that, but I just wanted to touch on the things that are specific to this parcel. And then the last slide is just about compliance. We all know December 31st is the deadline. Town meeting is November 3rd. There's really no time between November 3rd and December 31st to make another run at this. I mean, this is our shot. I would say even if it fails for some unimaginable reason, town officials and employees are committed to making this work, so it'll be back again as soon as possible. It's hard for me to think of a better process in terms of public involvement than what we've been through, or a better location, frankly. So, I'm hopeful that people will agree with that and vote in favor of it. I feel obligated to point out the penalties for non-compliance. We all know about the loss of grant funding, which perhaps Angus will speak to. I will say in the last 2 weeks, the town received a under $500,000 grant from MVP for climate change resiliency on the road, which we would not be eligible for non-compliance. And then there's potential legal action. The Attorney General's office is starting to make noises about suing towns that are not in compliance. So that's it.
Thank you very much, very informative.
Very nice.
As promised, I'm gonna turn to planning board members. And I think I'd like to talk about eligibility for a minute. This is kind of a term of art, but I'd like to clear up before we proceed. Later on, the board will be making 2 motions, taking 2 votes, and one of them is to find the site eligible. Significance of finding the site eligible, which is a very specific term, it comes from from chapter 48, section 1A, is this. As part of its efforts in the last number of years to facilitate additional housing creation in the state, you have to stop and pop and fight this step, okay? Just interrupt. One of the things they did was create a category of eligible locations in which housing related projects could fall. And it would mean that the threshold for passing a zoning bylaw under that eligible location would be a majority rather than the 2/3. Would be a simple majority rather than the 2/3 majority.
Do you want me to just go over the definition? Would that be helpful?
Well, I'm gonna go over that, but is that
Okay.
correct? This is the reason for this
Yes,
change?
if you're allowing, as of right, multifamily housing
Right.
in an eligible location, you can adopt that zoning by a majority vote.
Right, so that's the significance of finding it eligible.
Yes.
And luckily, what Wendy said is precisely what the definition says and what I would like to say. And these are the criteria we considered ever since the dawn of time with this bylaw that we will not revisit here tonight. But one is infrastructure. Yes, this is, we always looked at main street locations, water system, those kinds of things. Another is transportation access, as Wendy said, it's the main thoroughfare in town, it has access to train stations, and in addition to that, we now have a bus line that runs right along. So that's transportation access, and the third criteria that is important here is location. Well, 2, there's location, which I think you've spoken to as far as town services and proximity to all kinds of things that people might want. Also, what we said about Knapp and Down and all these other sites along Main Street. And there is a 4th one, which is underutilization of the site. And Wendy spoke to that too, saying that, we have a single-story building in a place that multi-story could potentially be built and thereby increase the intensity of utilization. So I think for all those reasons, to me, it seems easy to decide that this site is an eligible site. Just wanted to clear that up and see if board members had any questions.
You did last time.
Is that answered now?
Yeah.
Good. All right, let's move on. So other comments and questions from planning board members?
Just a comment, that was one of the best presentations I've ever seen. In a remarkably obtuse matter, I hope that, you know, you've shown the way for the rest of us. Thank you, I appreciate that a lot, well done.
Comments on the language changes, I know we
No,
all felt very.
We went over this,
I'm
this
just-
before.
This is the opportunity in the public hearing,
Say it now, ask it now.
asking the board
Yeah.
comments.
Languages, the language changes, we went over those last time, they make sense for this location, yeah. Nothing started on that.
All right, how about any other loose ends?
I got a couple of questions. So if we can put the map back up, that would be great. Show on the side. There you go. So, here to the lower left. I think that might be some wetland area. And the wetland area can be included.
I think
As
in his,
developable?
he did the compliance model, so.
It doesn't count as developable, but it counts towards the total land acreage of the district. So no units are modeled on that wetland, but the wetland counts towards the total acreage that we're looking at. So where it counts really in your case is calculating 15 units an acre. So we have to include that land area when we calculate 15 units an acre.
Okay,
When you go to HL.
I'm sorry, I misspoke there when I said calculate that
No,
over
no,
land
no,
area. It
I-
just counts towards the total
If
land
you
area.
go to HLC, they're aware of the.
Yeah.
Wetlands.
Yeah.
So this has been vetted at the state level based upon their
I
knowledge.
understand, I just want to understand. Because we came up with the 7 acres based, we kind of back calculated. That the state requirement was gonna need 87 units, I think was the number.
Yeah.
And we had a minimum of 15 units per acre, and that's where we came up with the acreage. It's not like the state told us we had to reserve so many acres that were developable.
Right.
So it's what area is not developable, leaving approximately how many acres that would be developable?
I do not have that number handy, but I can.
Just
pull it.
roughly, I'm not looking for an exact number. I'm looking at-
Roughly 6.8, actually, here it is, 6.8 acres total.
Developable.
Of developable land, because the partial lower left is how many acres?
4.4,
4.4, and that parcel to the upper right,
2.
2, so that's 6.4 acres, and then we take out the parking lot.
That's
No,
1.1, but that's in addition to the,
Right,
That
right,
wasn't
okay,
counted.
6.2, take out the wetlands, and we're left with roughly 5.
I don't know, I
I think
Or
Mine
something.
is, mine is researching that right now.
Tell you the total. Acreage. So it would be 6.8 minus the parking lot there, which is how big?
1.1.
So if you're left with roughly 5.7, then if that's 1.1.
And then you take out the wetlands.
Right, but for compliance.
No,
as
no,
you
I understand, oh, but here's, my little engineering roughing out numbers flag is up. Because when you say we have to go from 15 to 16 units per acre,
Right,
I'm guessing we have to go from 15 to something like, and I don't have a problem with this, so don't worry, I'm not saying that I have a problem with it, I just wanna make sure that we've got all our numbers straight.
yeah,
That we might have to go from 15 units per acre to something like 20
so,
to get the 78 units. If we're left with 4 acres that's more or less dry there to lower left and upper right.
Yep.
And part of the upper right, by the way, right now is the stormwater basin that's also wet.
Mhm.
I'm just suggesting that at the public meeting, for example, we might go over these numbers again and figure out how many units per acre would be necessary, because if I'm correct, you said that was part of the revision in them.
right. So I can clarify some of that and let me know if this
Go right
makes
ahead.
sense here. So when calculating density, to get to that 15 units an acre, you have to reach that 15 units an acre average across the entire district here. When we calculate that density, the denominator that we're looking at for the land area, we take out the wetland and the other environmentally sensitive lands. However, we include the non-developable public land. So the parking lot is included when we're calculating density, but the wetlands are all removed. So we remove the wetlands from that when calculating it. We get what the state calls the density denominator to calculate the fraction of the
Gotcha.
density. And because the parking lot is not developable, but has to be included in your denominator of that fraction,
Come up with your.
we have to do 16 on the developable portions to average out to 15 across the entire district.
Okay, that's great. So you kind of.
So,
spot out something.
16 across the, now when you say developable, let's just call it non-wetland. Because you're including the parking lot.
So we're saying that you can build 16 units an acre on parcel R14 6A and parcel R14 3A.
Okay, I bet you we need to go through those numbers again.
We can certainly look at them again.
Yeah, that's good. And that's fine. In the end, I'll trust whoever it is comes up with the final number. You guys know more than me than I do. I understood what you were saying about the denominator, but then some of your language after that suggests.
Sure.
And it might be that on average over the area, which includes the parking lot, it's 16. But the actual density in the areas which would actually be built would be coming up with my kind of like 20 number.
And so I might also add that as a result of this, you're not at exactly 87 units modeled. We're actually at 102 units modeled across the entire district.
That's all good.
Yeah.
And we all
So
know
that's
that in real life,
Yes,
in West Newbury, that the actual number of units that can be built and brought and occupied will be limited by our ability to properly treat the wastewater generated.
Right.
Okay. And then, my other concern here is that, the upper right, those are, and I use this as a term of art, matching state laws. Those are affordable housing, affordable houses, correct?
sure. Yeah, they are housing authority. I don't know the mechanism that they are, but they are housing authority.
So it's the senior housing.
Yeah,
It all is.
Well, no, I'm, the stuff that okay.
Oh, yeah, that counts on your subsidized housing
Yes,
inventory, if that's
all
what
of
you're
it.
asking, correct?
Okay, that's good. So I'm just wondering if there's any concern that if this, right now, we have a very high percentage of units that qualify to the state as being affordable. If this were developed, I'd be worried about the loss of that. Because, and maybe it wouldn't work out this way. Well, I suspect it wouldn't happen. But I think there's a slight potential here that someone would come in and say, okay, we're gonna develop this and we're gonna remove those houses to the upper right and then rebuild. But this is and I think there was a lot of confusion in town about this. The MBTA is not an affordable housing mechanism. The MBTA is a housing creation and density proposal. So we might, in fact, in the unlikely event that this came to fruition, lose affordable housing in the process, going from, I guess, 100% down to 10%.
So could I direct,
Please.
could I direct that question to Wendy, because I think this must be something that the working group discussed.
Yeah, so the land is owned by the housing authority and subject to state requirements. They can't just sell it to a private developer and get rid of the housing. I think
Well, whoever developed the land, right?
they would still be bound by the requirements of the housing authority, which their mandate is affordable housing. So it's possible we would get even
The
more.
reason we ended up with this site is exactly to your point, that we end up controlling this. It doesn't go to market. We don't step back from this parcel, it's housing authority parcel.
So the housing authority would be the future developer?
They're the owner, they have a
Potentially, yeah,
mission to,
potentially.
yeah, they have a mission here. They're not stepping aside from their mission. There's been no discussion of stepping aside.
No, that's okay. I'm just trying to understand. Is there any chance at all that the land would be developed by a developer using the MBTA provisions?
You mean a non-housing authority?
No, a developer.
I don't know how to answer that. I'm not familiar with.
We're not giving up the land, Rick. I mean, are we selling this building so that a developer can come in and put housing in it? We're not.
Well, no, this is not part of this.
Not part of it, but.
Well, no, it's analogous to what Chris has something to say. So,
Chris, go ahead.
this was the most magnificent parcel that brought forward. In my opinion, because
with the housing authority controlling it, you get the density, but now you have the option to do a much higher level of affordable housing
Yes.
than a developer
absolutely.
can
It goes
afford
the
to do.
opposite way.
They're probably gonna need grants from the state or federal level. But this is a pretty amazing opportunity to get the density with a higher degree of affordable housing, not less, in my opinion.
Am I incorrect in what I had been assuming, but I had understood? That development under the MBTA is limited to the percentage of housing which can be inclusionary, which can be
Well,
affordable.
there's a minimum of the 10%, you can go over that.
It's my understanding that you couldn't go over that.
So the bylaw cannot require more than ten
Right,
percent.
exactly.
Okay,
So you can't require as a condition of allowing multifamily housing that more than 10% be provided, but I don't think there's anything that would stop a developer from saying, I choose to do more than 10%.
Because the developer is working on our land with our mission. We're driving the bus on it.
no, I'm just, I
Right, we're just trying to understand the
I'm
language.
just trying to understand language. I think we've got a clarification here, which I appreciate. When we were putting together the language of the original bylaw, we ran up against this.
Which went to private property being developed by a private developer. This is.
Yeah, that was the assumption that
Yeah, right.
I'm just trying to understand,
doesn't
I'm not trying to be confrontational here. I'm not trying to be confrontational, I'm just trying to understand.
Let's get Ray's question answered since we have the experts here. So does Robin's answer?
I think so.
Bill,
So it can't be written into the bylaw to require more affordable housing.
Yes, so the maximum
But they-
you require in the bylaws.
And it's like,
And that's, yeah, but if a developer opted to, a developer could have more, a higher percentage of. housing.
absolutely.
I don't see why not.
Okay, because what's in the bylaw states is,
The minimum requirement.
It says
No, it says
maximum.
maximum, but it says shall, so I think that's the language.
But a housing authority could decide to go for higher density.
okay, that's good, and this is a public hearing, we're just airing things out. Can anybody point to that particular provision?
So my
9.2.
So my understanding of the language in the bylaw where it says a maximum
Page
of 10% is that it's the bylaw's way of saying we're not requiring you to provide more than 10%. If there's a concern about how it's written, I'm sure we can talk about amending the language, but the reason that was put in was because your bylaw in the normal inclusionary section talks about at least 10%. So by saying here a maximum, you're making it clear to UHLC that you weren't requiring more than 10%. I don't know that it's intended to be interpreted as limited.
Okay, well, okay, I'm just reading this.
Yeah.
A maximum of 10% of units in any development within the district shall be
Okay.
affordable housing units.
Yeah. Amen.
And if you have a concern, or if the board has a concern that the way that's phrased, somebody might argue the developer couldn't choose to do more, then you perhaps talk about
Right.
amending that language, but the.
I would be happy if that were to happen. It's a public hearing, we're getting feedback. And if the intent is to allow our housing authority to be the developer of a future development here, then I would say this language as written seems restrictive. And maybe just a couple of changes in words here would make sure that wasn't a limitation that we don't want to impose by accident.
You have to be careful with the language.
I'm not sure we should be doing that.
Well, we also have access to counsel. You said at the beginning
Right.
that this could lead to a language change. All I'm saying is, Ray's correct, we need to make sure it's written in a certain way. We also have to make sure it's written in a way that HLC doesn't say, wait a minute, you can't require more. So.
Yeah, exactly, we agree with each other right now.
Right, so members, just before I speak, so my goal this evening is that we have identified any concerns or
Right,
anything like that.
Right.
We will make our report and recommendation to the select board. It's
Right.
their bylaw. If they choose to consult, you
Great.
know, town
right.
council.
That's great.
Counsel.
And
My
they
cons-
will finalize the language, but we do want to make sure we've
That-
let them know
thank
what
you
we're
for that.
concerned about.
And so I'm looking at Wendy here. I agree with the spirit that's been expressed here tonight. That the housing authority would be a future developer or would be controlling the future.
Yes,
development.
right.
But I don't have, and by, because I don't wanna lose the.
No, no,
small
no,
lot.
but we took, I
Yes.
think
So-
everybody takes your point, Rick.
Good, so,
We're in
so
violent
again,
agreement.
again, that's in section 8.4.9.2. The way I read it.
Yep.
Is that it's a limitation.
Yeah.
Not an opportunity.
We'll take it up.
Did you have a comment?
Yes, I know, Angus.
Yeah, I do.
Something, I'll get back
You're
to
the
you.
chair, so Ray, I share your concern. I think the way it's written does look like a limitation. And we actually corresponded with Ian and Robin earlier today. And so I think, Ian, you have maybe a recommendation as to a slight change that you've seen successful in other bylaws. The line we're trying to walk here is make sure it's very clear in the bylaw that the board can't impose more than 10%. But that a proponent can.
And I agree with that.
Can.
And
So, and I think
and
there is
trust
a
you
way.
guys to work out.
And we don't need to have the language tonight, as Ann says, we're making note of it, right, we're making note of it.
I don't
Okay,
know.
but just since it was, I mean, we actively corresponded on it, so
Right, yeah,
I think
yeah.
Ian does have some, so
We're,
I think the spirit of it is clear, but Ian, do you want to, through the chair, do you want to just speak to, what you've seen approved in other communities that threads that needle?
Sure, yeah, I mean, I would say all the comments are good comments and should be warranted. So in this language, in other communities, we have written a minimum or at least 10% of the units shall be affordable. And in a couple communities that I've worked in, that language has been fully approved by EOHLC. And so I would interpret that as meaning that would be acceptable if we were to change that from maximum to minimum or say at least. But certainly I think it's worthwhile to run that by, one of the things we talked about today was running it by HLC again to make sure that they are accepting of that after we make that change. So if the select board chooses to make that change, I would recommend that then I would take that and send it to EOHLC, show them the one red line and request their opinion on it.
And just for the record, I trust you guys to work that out. I don't feel the need to know exactly how it's gonna be written.
Just presuming you're gonna make your report of recommendations tonight, though you may wanna include in that, just.
Yeah.
That you requested the change to accommodate that it not be.
or at least it be examined to see if a change is needed.
I think we may do a two-tier approach. I think we will conclude, somehow this evening with, by collecting comments that we will pass on very quickly, like tomorrow. And then our actual recommendation, may take to trickle through, do that within the next week or so. So that's my plan.
So.
Yes, fine.
Can anyone here tell me how many units are on Hills Court today?
And it's
8, isn't it?
12 units.
Oh,
It's 12.
There's six, it's six, no, wait, no, I'm sorry, 3 duplexes, I'm sorry. Shoot, I have that number.
it's like, what,
Just forget.
it looks like a triple and 2 doubles.
Yeah, sorry.
I-
Chris has his hand up.
Well, no, I want to go back to the previous wording, because it does say the maximum required is 10%. It doesn't say you can't exceed.
Right.
It
Yeah,
doesn't.
but a literal reading,
Yeah.
Chris, it says a maximum of 10%, so.
But if you go back,
But right now, tonight, all we need to do is pass it on as a concern.
Yes.
This is not the
Right,
place
yeah.
to try to relate.
I think we've all understood
Right.
where the lack of clarity stands and we're gonna end up, it's a matter of the wordsmithing to get there. So let's move on to that.
So,
Yes,
yeah, we've got, say, 8. What would you say,
maybe 10.
10,
Well,
12?
let's say 10, I'm seeing it, I have it in my office, but
Yeah.
let me see if I can pull it.
So
up.
assuming that the septic issues can be worked out, those could be demolished and you easily could put in, a 2-story building and double the units.
To be apartments.
Yeah, you probably
Townhouse type stuff,
could do
whatever.
a little bit more than that, even there on that side. Again, that's septic issue would drive all that.
Yeah.
And you would need somebody to parachute in about, somewhere north of $5 to $7 million, probably. Which in today's environment isn't likely, but it's perhaps not impossible somewhere down the road, who knows, I guess. So that may be one way to kind of wrap your arms around this. I mean, my whole concern on this is that the likelihood, because if you're gonna do it with the housing authority being the developer, is you're relying on grant funds or some other federal funding mechanisms, and we all know what it is right now. So yeah, it's unlikely, but you know, one could see that you could double what you've got there.
Right.
Yeah.
And you, I don't know how you would ever displace people living in the senior building for a year and a half, but you could do the same thing there.
That was also a concern of mine.
It's a huge
Yeah.
destruction.
That's a logistical thing.
It is, but you know, I mean, if so, you know, again, if you know.
The
Could be
the logistics would be
the
complicated.
logistics are.
It would be complicated.
But it.
The cost would be a lot.
Yes,
It could be done.
yes. I do have just one, a general comment, and I really appreciate the time that the working group put in on this. I mean,
Here.
it was.
Uh-oh.
Personally, I had suggested this and it fell by the wayside. I still would have liked to see a two vote option on, at the coming up town meeting and for the NAPS and this being the fallback. The NAPS parcel is being developed. It was sold on September 30th to John Sarvis. And something is going to be done there. I don't know what it's gonna look like. And you know, here we are talking about, well, we could do something here, as I just said, you know, money's gotta fall from someplace to make it happen. And yet, every day for the next 2.5 years, we're gonna be looking at bulldozers and construction vehicles and whatnot, doing something down there. And I just think it's disappointing for the town. So, that's my piece. I support this because I think fiscally the town has no choice. But I think it's unfortunate that we couldn't have another option with this as a fallback. So,
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please do.
I mean, what do you think has changed between now and April that voters would go for now all of a sudden?
well, altruistic assumption of, you know, the voter actually looking, you know, I think another people are thinking it might just go away. And 57% of the people, if I have my numbers correct, you know, voted it down. Not an impossible hurdle to change that to, you know, something different.
If I,
And I just. I would have thought that that would have been a more proper course of action, knowing that that parcel is going to be built. We don't know what it's gonna look like. I'm sure it'll look nice because he's got to sell the units or rent them out or whatever the heck he's gonna build. But it is, we have no control over that, very limited control over that, and certainly none on the appearance. So.
can I jump in on that?
Yes, please, Ray, go ahead.
So, to answer Wendy's query, I think that there was, despite our best efforts, there was some misunderstanding amongst people going into the April vote. And yeah, I think some people were thinking that there might still be a way to preserve the land, prevent it from being developed to any density. Now, it's pretty apparent that it will be developed to a reasonably high density. And so I could make the point that the imposition of the MBTA on NAPS as the district would have no negative effect on the abutters to the land, despite their perceptions and reservations that way. The chance that something here would be negative, I think a lot of my concerns have been allayed tonight, and I'm glad for that. I can see now merit here that I didn't see before. But I do agree that the NAPS would still be, but would have been a reasonable alternative had there been the option for residents to vote on either property this fall.
Any wish to respond to that on behalf of the working group at all?
Well, it was a select board decision. We felt like it was brought to town meeting said no, and I think it's an insult to bring it back again 6 months later when really nothing has changed. the abutters are a very small component of that 57%. There were a lot of people in town that did not want an open space like that to be developed and a developer in the wings to profit on. I think that was more the sentiment, and they thought it was gonna go away. The abutters knew full well that it was gonna be developed, and they still were against it, so.
I voted with Wendy on that, with the same inclination that it would be disrespectful to the voters to bring that back. Where it wasn't a close vote, it was pretty resounding. I think it also might have, carried over to bring out a rebellious crowd again, who could have potentially voted this down. So we decided it was better to have clarity and pick one parcel with your best shot.
All right, well, thank you for letting us know your thinking on that. We'll pass all these thoughts along to select board. Angus, yes.
Madam Chair, just for the record, there is a comment in the chat, so if I could read that in the record.
Please.
DL says he agrees with he or she agrees with Brian. It's an absolute shame that we're not going to capture that property as it will be developed. It's not going away.
Have we opened this to public discussion?
Oh, no, that's, we'll put it there. That's all right, that will be next, public input. So board members.
Themselves if they were.
But, all right, well, we'll rewind, okay? Any more comments from the board at this point before we open the, all right.
Deb here, I just
Sorry, Deb,
agree,
Deb Hamilton is a planning board member. What are your thoughts, Deb?
just that I think that the opportunity to do something really outstanding on the Nat property that would also satisfy the MBTA requirements is an opportunity that I'm sorry to lose, but I'm glad we have an alternative.
All right, thank you, Deb. All right, now, members of the public, yes, we generally do ask folks to give their name and address when they're making public comments. So first of all, members of the public who are present at the hearing, anyone have any, at this point, anything you want to say? There are a couple of you out there. Very quiet. Well, the channel remains open. As far as those online, is it legitimate, Robert, to ask DL to identify him or herself?
Folks don't have to, but if somebody chooses not to, then it might affect the weight that you give to their comment.
It's not required that people, it's always been my understanding, it's required that they identify their name and address. It's not like I'm out there.
We've generally done it for the minutes, I think, more than anything.
People don't have to. You can ask, but I mean, it's not required for someone to share
Okay.
in public comment, but again, it might impact the weight.
We're gonna open it up in a manner that we're going to be asking people, not just looking at the chat, right? So it's not going to be solely to the chat.
Absolutely, yeah, we're in the next phase where we are seeking comment from members of the public, online, to be recognized. You can use the raise hand function, you can ask in the chat to be recognized. I don't know how many of you there are, so we're gonna monitor and see if we capture anyone who's showing interest. If those things are too difficult to do, just try unmuting and speaking up.
I guess is that full?
That's the full.
Right?
It is.
Okay.
It looks like Brad just unmuted himself.
Brad Busher, you unmuted. Did you have a comment?
Hi, Brad Busher, 347 Main Street. Previous parcels proposed for MBTA compliance has had test fits. I'm sorry, I just joined. We just wrapped up family stuff, dinner, and I missed if there was a presentation or a slide deck, but what level of analysis has been done to
I'm not
understand?
doing it again.
Is that in the package? Is it available online?
It will be, yeah.
It is.
Yes, it is. It will be available online. That's
It is,
why
yeah, it is,
it's-
yeah.
But it is now.
Available right now.
Okay, it's available now.
Perfect. Thank
All right, thanks. Let's see, who else looks as if they are eager to let us know their thoughts.
Not seeing anybody.
And hearing
No,
none,
I'm not
and
seeing.
hearing none.
I'll run the meeting, thank you very much. All right, am I seeing everyone with Angus who's
You are.
logged in? Okay. All right, so it's deathly silence right now. No.
Good.
No.
No. Can't even get them to say no. All right, let's see. Since this is what will happen once we make a motion and vote to close the public hearing, the board will continue its deliberations, but we will not take additional information, so I'm just also asking Angus, Wendy, Robin, Ian, if you have more information that is new that you think the board should hear before we deliberate.
I will share that I don't know if you posted the pre-adoption review feedback, Angus, or if it's part of the meeting packet, but I just wanted to share that there was one minor comment that HLC gave in that, and I addressed and confirmed with them that we properly addressed their one comment.
Right,
in the
yeah,
pre-adoption
we saw that.
feedback. I don't know if you haven't seen that.
And that was the one about, it had to do with tweaking numbers for compliance.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Just wanted to make sure
Yeah,
that was.
basically, Chris Riley put together
Okay, great.
memo.
Okay, just-
Because it was a
Taken
long
care of.
email thread, he made a nice little synopsis. so-
Great, thank you.
Great, thank you.
All right,
Is
good.
there, did I see a comment?
There was.
Oh, this comment, let's see. In the chat.
Could somebody
Can
read
you
that?
read that? Hard to see.
Yes, from the commenter, West Newbury, says, is there any concern about the loss of the town gazebo? This property serves as the center of the town's most popular gathering spots. This were to pass the vote, would it be the town's / housing authority's intent? They issue an RFP to develop the property or just rezone? If this were to pass and the vote and the property is developed, would the town continue with the goal of developing Mullen property? This would create a significant impact to this of town with a significant loss of open space and a massive increase of density. As a reminder, these two items have clearly been identified by West Newbury residents as critical importance to the town. It's important to remember that this part of town has already experienced significant density impacts through the two cottages developments. What are the height restrictions in this part of town?
Well, I can answer the height restrictions. In every part of town, they are 35 feet, just as they are in the state building code.
And this zoning would
This
not
zoning,
change that.
this zone, that's right, the zoning is an overlay district. So it's not quite rezoning, it's an overlay. It does not extinguish any of the previously existing zoning on the site. There is no expectation that by creating the overlay, there's any implication of development at any particular point in time. So I think it's been made clear these are parcels owned and controlled by the housing authority. So any future action would be based on their initiative.
If I may,
Just a second, I'm just trying to see if I hit all the points.
Mullen property.
Oh yeah, the Mullen property is a completely separate matter. It was acquired. Tell me for what purposes. It's not general municipal, it's acquired with. housing
Yeah.
in mind.
Well, it's general municipal, but one of the uses was, Steve's house.
But that's something that I think is being looked at perhaps by the Affordable Housing Trust. It's not under consideration as regards this.
And that would have its own approval process to go through, so if in fact we were thinking of overlording the town center, people would have the right to speak to that if anything were done down in Mullen.
Yes, right.
and I just wanted to be clear, because there was some confusion about this the last time. That the application of this zoning district on this land doesn't mean that a future developer would have to use the MBTA zoning, and a future developer would have the option to use it, but could also develop by the other existing zoning bylaws.
Right, exactly. It's the nature of an overlay district.
And the height and the height wouldn't be any higher here than it already is.
Insane.
That was a number that we ended up tweaking
Yes.
way back in the spring.
Okay, other comments, new information? No, no one speaking up.
One thing I just, the one point if I could, Madam Chair, is, the town gazebo or bandstand is on the portion of the property that is under the care and custody of the select board.
Right.
It is not, so while it's part of the district for purposes of creating a contiguous district, it is not part of the developable area.
That's right.
So.
The actual gazebo is part of the parking lot.
Yeah.
Or correct.
That's right, yes, so.
Although the
it's-
place you spread out your blankets,
Correct.
Well.
but
these
but
are all-
again, that
It's like
brings,
hypotheticals, okay?
yeah, and that green space could be preserved, or presumably there would have to be, again, well, not presumably, there would have to be some sort of septic system.
Yes.
And, yeah,
Yeah, the gazebo is on land that would remain under control of the town. All right. I have a motion to close the public hearing, please.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, the public, to vote to close. the public
The vote.
All those in favor of closing the public hearing? And Radeed, aye.
Ray Cook, aye.
Deb Hamilton, I.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Rob Phillips, aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think, the two. We will discuss things, but I think we can actually move to the next motion pretty readily.
I'll make the motion that we find this land eligible.
Yes. Is there a second?
Second.
Is that adequate language? Would you like us to embellish?
No, I think if you said it's an eligible location, that's the term in the.
I move that the proposed district is an eligible location.
Thank you.
Second.
Any further discussion? Not, all those in favor, Anne Bardine, aye.
Ray Cook, aye.
Deb Hamilton, I.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Rob Phillips, aye.
The eligibility motion passes 5. So. The second, so is, as we deliberate, the two things that came to the top of my list for potential massaging, so I would say, are the clarification of the affordability language. Well, actually, that's really none. Are there other things that?
No, just that we agree to recommend to the board
Yes.
in their proposed bylaw that they take care that the percentage of affordable units not be restricted.
Or
whatever.
that their wording reflect
Right, right.
our discussion tonight,
Yeah.
and we will count.
We're not, yeah,
I'm gonna tell him.
we're not telling them what language has to be, they're gonna figure it out.
No.
We all know what the desired outcome is.
Right, we don't,
Yeah.
we all agree, yes.
Although if we can't put it into a phrase, then that's not good. So.
That's
is there
where
a
we have
problem with
pros.
these?
I think,
Robin, that's fine.
if it's helpful, I think you could say that you would recommend approval as written. With clarification that the 10% language not be,
Eliminating,
a limiting language.
There you go.
okay, thank you very much.
And I think we all understand what that means, yeah, just,
Yeah, we're all,
just that,
everybody,
that it be revised, not to be a hard cap. But consistent with the fact that you can't require.
Just as long as we're clear, and I think there's enough, and this is gonna be important. So we're all clear on that.
Right, so the motion is to favorably recommend the proposed zoning bylaw text and zoning map amendments with the slight language changes to be determined. In order to adopt the MTA communities multifamily overlay.
Yeah.
Second, any discussion? All those in favor, Anne Bardine, aye.
Ray Cook, aye.
Yeah.
yeah,
She's moving.
yeah,
All right, well, let's continue. We'll see if she returns.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Rob Phillips, aye.
Deb, I don't know if you can hear us. I'm not sure she's still there. She's. All right. I'm gonna have to let that one go. And the vote is 4-0 with one member. Appearing to perhaps not be present.
Right.
All right, well, thank you all for all the input and for getting this thing figured out. We will.
Thank you all for your.
Thank you for your support. Oh, yes.
Just process wise, so I met with Dennis, I think everyone knows Dennis Lamoff is the chair of the finance committee. So the FinCom booklet will be published on or before October 20th, which is 14 days prior to that special town meeting.
Yes.
As you know, typically the finance committee writes the rationales for articles, but over the years, where there's a zoning article, if the planning board would like to have its own narrative to put in the booklet, I talked to Dennis, he's totally amenable to that, so.
Okay, I have a plan for
Great.
achieving that. I was proposing to try to get this to the select board so they would have it for the October 16th agenda to review. So I'm gonna propose to members that we have an extra little meeting
Yeah.
on next Tuesday, October 14th. Either kind of first thing in the morning or last thing in the afternoon, times that work for me, I don't know, folks, schedules, 8 AM or 4 PM or something like that. I know this is
We're talking
unusual.
on Tuesday, right?
Tuesday,
14th.
October 14th, because Monday's a holiday.
I can do that.
I could do, well, I could do either, although.
What's
I
more
don't know.
convenient? Let's figure this out. It's just us.
You tell me the time, I'll be there.
Okay,
I have a preference for the evening, but I'm okay. I'll make your time work.
is early evening okay? Because I have
Yeah.
another, so 4 PM, 4:30, 4 PM. Captured in the workday for folks. Does that work for you, Brian?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Want to come then?
Set it, I think I can.
Okay,
And the
All right.
idea here is that we'll frame
The idea is
language
that
that will go in the book.
we will, yes, we will write up the blurb that we will then give to the select board to give to Dennis, and we will handily make everyone's deadlines. Sound good? All right, so let's plan on that October 14th at 4 PM in the planning department. That'll be a posted meeting. Anyone else wishes to change?
That'll work.
Thank you.
Okay. Great,
Thank you all for your cooperation, diligence.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Is it too late to put that in the minutes that the planning board appreciates the efforts of the select board and
Everything's-
the committee?
Everything's nice.
Well,
And the committee, which,
Oh, that's
the
very
group.
but you must also mention the help we've had tonight and in the past by council and Merrimack
Absolutely.
Valley.
Here, here.
Although Ian doesn't want his name mentioned.
Who doesn't want his name not misrepresented?
You can mention my name.
What-
Never mind, never mind.
Well, I was getting too much recognition last time.
Right.
All right, well, our meeting isn't over, although some of you may find it completing a task.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You guys.
Thank you, Dennis.
All right, here's back to our agenda. The next item on the agenda has to do with Burnham Field, and I understand it's late breaking news because the Parks and Rec had a meeting last night.
Yeah.
And so, I'm in. Oh,
I was
Chris, you're
there.
right. Huh?
you were there, right? Nobody's gonna tell us what happened that time.
So they decided to, rather than move forward with plans for a walkway, to, approach it by, doing a master plan.
Yes.
But I think that can also be rolled into a comprehensive plan that you're all discussing rather than its own item.
Are we talking about my concern about the connection between, like the snack shack and the playground?
And basically everything on the
Well,
site is kind of a
The
mess.
thought was, if we go build a walkway, then we're limited to the current layout.
No, that's good. I just want to make sure
Yes, this
that,
is response to that.
yeah, is
They,
it,
they realize that they need to do a bunch of things.
Right.
So,
Comprehensive
we're gonna let everybody talk, so. They're gonna do some kind of master planning or,
Well, they want to look into that, whether they do it separately and get CPA funding, or they just have it be a section of the comprehensive plan as TBD.
I would highly recommend they seek funding from, CPC or whatever.
not late, not late.
Comprehensive plan will take
Yeah.
Well,
time.
this will also take time. I mean,
yeah,
But it's not gonna get in my opinion, the focus that it deserves.
Needs to be its own thing.
Well, I think it also
Well,
needs, what it needs is money, and that's the best.
Right.
I appreciate the,
staff resources to manage it, which Park and Rec does not have, so.
I'm sympathetic to that. And I appreciate that it'd be part of the master plan. I think that's a good idea. But I think that any future master plan for that area will necessarily involve some sort of walkway. So the idea of securing funding earlier rather than later, I think that can make some sense.
They're also, and part of their 5-year plan is upgrading the playground. So the thought is, let's do the master plan first, make sure all of, everything that's planned for that area is taken.
Okay, but
Right.
can I ask,
We don't
what
wanna go piece.
this has to do with us writing a memo about the concern?
I'm not talking about the memo, she asked me what's discussing the plan.
Right.
Park and Rec.
Okay.
Okay.
We had a short list of some items that we just wanted to convey to Park and Rec about what we went through when we did the site plan. None of them are earth shattering. They're just, they do fit into looking at the thing holistically. I think to Ray's point, I would imagine that you really want someone who does a concept plan for the uses down there. So I would think it would be an outside person that you'd be engaging for a certain sum of money, but But I still, in my mind, I just like to get a simple memo of observations out to Park and Rec. That's what I thought the item was about on the agenda.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be verbose.
It's nothing.
It's just a couple of bullet items.
Short, yeah.
Whatever
exactly, Yeah,
came out of those notes.
yeah, there's like 5 items of bullet points. Everybody knows what they mean, and it doesn't matter because in the end, they should be examining this the way you would do your own property. We have a shed way out back, we need a shed, a garage in front, whatever, so. I think it should be funded and it would cost a certain amount of money, but.
As far as I'm concerned, the only bullet item I would say is that, as part of looking at the pickleball court, the planning board discussed access between the main parking lot and the playground area. And we recommend that the park and rec, work on getting that done.
Well, Chris, did I send you something about what I took away from those meetings? Didn't I send you something?
I believe you did, but
And I had like
there's a lot more information I've received, so there is a process underway to address a lot of these concerns. I
Right.
think we'll know more.
Yeah, we just want
to
have a memo written dated.
Sure, okay, for next week, can you put on the agenda
Well, I
that,
think we can probably find those items and
yes.
write a short
I
memo that we can,
Yeah,
we can take a look at that
Yeah,
on the
let's
fourth
just
sheet, okay?
do 1 page, look at it next week,
Yeah,
so
I
we
think we
can
can
send it out and get it.
I think we
out.
can send
I
out our
think we
thoughts.
should be able to do that, yes.
What were your 2 items?
I have 5 items, what do we,
Oh, you would.
let's discuss it next week.
Well, no, but if we're going to review the memo next week.
Yeah, we
Chris has the notes.
Okay,
If Chris has.
He's got the notes.
okay. I'm not trying to be confrontational here.
No, I know, he's got the notes. You just write it.
I have the notes and I have a lot of additional information about everything that's been done up until now, putting a lot of effort on some of these issues, so. I think that needs to
That's
be,
not germane.
okay,
No, it's just
Really
the
is.
fact, I know 2 of my points were with Rob's. We ought to just see the bullet points,
Yeah. and
2 thank yous, and
Right.
All right, well, let's take a look at it. I can work with Chris a little bit on that.
Yeah,
this
the
week.
idea
And then we
is
can look at
actually
it.
to be supported. Right, that's my intention, is to be supportive.
Right.
So they got a piece of paper they can write saying,
Yeah.
planning board would like it.
And whether they like it or not, or whether we're right
Yeah,
or
that's
not,
their decision.
someone else will figure that out.
Right, it could be potential input if they decide to go for
Exactly.
some money from
Thank
the CPC or this, they'll know that those things are. on.
This is one of the reasons why we're looking for money.
Those are
But,
those
thank you.
items of concern, okay. Next on the agenda, where are we? General business minutes, I don't think we have any minutes. Get caught up on those somehow.
Oh,
These are. No, our poor land admin has a lot of masters to serve, a lot of meeting minutes to do. So, see what can be done about that.
And if I could.
Yeah.
We did have a new conservation agent start yesterday.
Yeah.
That's
Oh.
gonna be great,
yeah,
because as I think everyone knows, Molly's been doing incredible work.
I know,
All
you're right,
power.
leave her here all the time.
But Jen is really her point person, so I know she's been doing a lot to help Molly keep things running with Concom.
Mhm.
So we have a terrific new agent, Dan Callahan, he started
Great.
yesterday. So
are
Jen.
we hiring only Irish now?
Yeah.
But what do you think?
Well, Steve, we're making up for all those.
I'm
numbers you
pleased
not
as
applied.
hell.
Remember,
Well, that's
we're
good
making up
news.
for past.
Right, we're making up for.
Irish need not apply, yeah, we're.
Thanks, that's good news, because I know I looked at their agenda that was posted for Concom, and my goodness, it was about 30 items and all the notifications and everything about that, I'm sure has kept her extremely busy, so now we'll get some attention, that's great. Okay,
What's the name of the new agent?
Daniel Callahan.
Thank you.
reports and updates, we carry this as an agenda item just in case, MVPC, Affordable Housing Trust, or CPC.
The MVPC, I attended the meeting a couple weeks ago. Well, it's catching up on what they've been doing for the summer and whatnot. No significant concern expressed in the meeting about you know, issues with the grant funding. Maybe I'll have that offline discussion with Gerard. They did ask us, all the commissioners, to review their priority growth strategy document. Which they're obligated to produce every X number of years, I don't know, 5 to 7 years. The growth area of West Newbury, they noted was, potential growth was the downtown. You know, for some little mixed use and whatever, however, noting the septic issues that, and would be endemic to that area. Whatnot. The only issue I had there was that, they had the pictures of West Newbury and Newbury switched. So.
They're very attentive.
That has been corrected for us, they're still, I think, looking for a picture for Byfield Center.
Okay.
I mean, I'd be happy to forward it, but there's a lot of boilerplate stuff on all the other towns, if anybody's interested. It's a lot of work that they did, to get this document, it's just that they're required to do it, you know, part of their funding.
Should we have that on our planning board website, do we think, since we are the ones, the town pays every year to go on and MVPC?
We could probably.
Is it of interest?
Well, it's being approved formally next month.
Okay, well, once it's approved, then maybe we could just link to it. All right, Affordable Housing Trust, that's down. Any news there?
Wasn't just there?
News back. Maybe I'll ask Wendy about that.
Yeah, so we're still waiting on, the Mass Housing Partnership is about 2 months behind schedule, but they're supposed to be giving us a build out analysis and a draft RFQ for Mullen property.
Oh, no.
Cool.
Okay. Right.
So is that progressing nicely?
I don't know, we haven't seen it.
2 months.
Since March, they've more. So, but the grant was for them to do the analysis, feasibility study and to write the RFQ.
So basically totally waiting.
Yeah. sounds good.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah, it would be interesting. The tricky person. And CPC.
They got a meeting tomorrow?
Oh, great, okay.
So it's Deb, right?
I hope it's Ray.
Right.
Well, Jen went back and looked at the minutes and watched the video. And it
Yeah,
was
the
Deb.
meeting video, and which you guys can redesignate if you want,
But that's
but
weird,
the
because
vote, in
Deb-
fact, because I thought it was great as well.
I thought it was Deb.
But no, yeah, it was June, it in fact was Deb, because Jen sent the
Oh,
email, because there was a question that came up last week, and I responded, and I said, and I just responded to Wendy as chair, and to Jen, I said, I think it's Ray. And then she sent an email and said, no, it's Deb, and she sent the meeting video with the exact timestamp, and I watched it, it is, in fact, Deb.
but we usually don't.
All right, well, may I just speak here for a moment? I'm speaking to you from Anna Jake's Hospital. I had a little stroke yesterday. And rather than try to fit another board and committee into my life right now seems ill conceived. So I would prefer not to be a member of the CPC at this time.
I'll make a
Thank you,
motion
yes.
that I be the board's CPC representative.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor? And party aye.
Rick Gaia.
Hamilton, I.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Ron Phillips,
All
aye.
right.
How you doing, Deb?
Better than the tests would suggest. I
You sound good.
yeah, but this is the second night they've kept me here because they don't want a further episode. So I expect to come home tomorrow and be fine and live another 20 years, but we'll see.
Yes. That's the end.
Thank you for
That's it, thank you.
sharing
Please,
this information with all of us. All right, any correspondence, Chris?
Nope.
All right. Administrator, we took care of Eagle's Nest. And. Isn't there a little something
Housing
else?
production.
Housing production plan, yes, I'm just looking at the verbiage on that. Okay, so the housing production plan.
Wow,
members
there it is.
We'll recall that, there was a little amendment needed regarding Great Hill, and then now there's a little amendment needed not regarding Great Hill.
Oh, regarding it, but to remove
Right, to
it.
remove what was added.
So the language
Also the
change
language, yeah.
for Mullen and,
Chris, if you can go to the prior page.
Yeah, there's a
map
little
that
description
spells
of it,
out in
yeah.
detail
Go to your memo.
Of the prior page of the packet.
Yeah, just scroll up one page.
One page up.
Trying to.
There's your little slider on the side there. Maybe this was a thing. Come on.
So are we looking at a fait accompli here? Is the whole plan typed up, or are we still editing this?
Well, we're gonna look at what was changed. There's a memo about it.
Okay,
Just scroll up the page.
This is only working for me here.
No, it's fine. I didn't print that.
Angus, you got a suggestion?
any idea how to make this thing work?
Maybe try stopping the share and then finding the right page and then reshare. I'm just,
Spitball.
What's what, I had
it
trouble.
seems like there's like a red flag.
You did? Yeah.
I did.
Maybe
I
I
think
can
this is so big.
And yeah,
I had none, really. Yeah.
Yeah,
On my
I
iPad.
would jump around on these two.
I don't do iPads, maybe that's the.
Back to this thing. I'm not sure why this is not going up.
I think that they don't jump.
I think because that's the very first slide,
So-
there's no.
No,
No, it's it's like page 130.
There you go, there you go.
That's the stuff.
There you go.
Yeah, on our computer, so we're-
Now, we gotta be able to see the whole thing.
It's-
Great. Oh,
Oh,
And again,
it's there.
There we go.
there we go.
But don't touch anything.
Yeah.
My hands off.
Those are the only one I left it to.
So Angus, this is your recap to
Yeah.
us of,
Of an email thread back and forth with HLC, yeah.
so you can take us through this, right?
Yeah, basically, they've signed off on the 99% of the housing production plan that was submitted. They're looking for the town to submit, to add one, quote, clarifying sentence that the town would encourage the filing of comprehensive permit application and or considering issuing an RFP to develop the sites into subsidized housing inventory eligible housing. So there's a single page of the plan, it's page 5-33. Wait, this is the one that has the map of the two sites, and they would, so MVPC, as our consultant on this, took a crack at drafting a sentence that would be responsive to the state, and that's what's put there in quotes. Which would be the town will look to find the most appropriate pathway to develop affordable housing on these sites, including through the issuance of an RFP or encouragement of a comprehensive permit application on these sites. So if that language is agreeable to this board and to the select board, which did you vote it on last? You voted on it Thursday night, so they're good with that change. If you're good with that change, we'll submit it back to HLC
And that's it, no more.
that should be it. We've
What are
been,
the two sides?
this thing's been substantially complete,
Yeah, now,
13
now
months
and
now,
Holland.
so.
Are the
Yeah,
ones-
Holland.
yeah, and we did have Break Hill, but we moved that one. Because we don't need it for the MT.
Huh, okay.
Do we need to make a vote in support of this? Is
Yeah,
that
we
helpful?
do. I think
So we asked MVPC, they said it's not necessarily necessary, but obviously the
Be a good
spirit of the housing production plan is that both the boards are aligned, so we would look to a vote.
All right, so I'll move to approve
The
The
updated
addition.
draft.
the updated draft
Updated
of the
draft.
housing production plan as approved by the select board on October 2nd.
Sounds good.
second,
All in favor? And Bardine, aye.
Ray Cook, aye?
Deb Hamilton, I.
Brian Murphy, I.
Bob Phillips, aye?
Right, it's unanimous.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome. Okay, future agendas. So I think on the 14th at 4 p.m. we're going to be talking about our recommendation regarding the MBTA communities, et cetera. Maybe taking a peek at a little Parks and Rec memo that I will work with Chris on and I will sign on behalf of the board. And then we have our regularly scheduled meeting on October 21st. One of the things we'll be doing then is to look at a draft of the town report, the annual report, the annual report of the planning board for incorporation in the town report, because the clerk's office has asked that those be submitted by November 1st. I talked to Chris a little bit about this today. We generally rely on previous years for formatting. We'll go through minutes and figure out what we want to put in our report. Stormwater regulations and cannabis zoning are two things that have always been that have remained back burner-ish for a while because there've been a lot of other things going on. So we need to resurrect those and decide about their importance to the town. I'm not really sure where
Surprised about the
stand.
cannabis, but thought we resolved the storm.
Well, I think were there some changes to be made, some revisions to stormwater? Angus has something to say about this.
Yes. So this has been a multi-phase project and we've known for a long time it's gonna take a lot of phases. So the bylaw was amended at the Springtown meeting. The regulations now need amendment for consistency with the bylaw and to address some issues that have come up administratively that our staff working group feels it will be better to have these changes. And the planning board subdivision regulations and the site plan and special permit regs right now have language in them about stormwater. And the goal is to get to where everything's internally consistent. So we've known for 5 years, and I've been saying in writing for 5 years, this is gonna be a multi-step thing, because there's the bylaw, there's the stormwater bylaw, then getting the zoning bylaw consistent, then getting the subdivision regs, the site plan regs, the special permit regs. So we have a line in the operating budget in the DPW section for stormwater. And every year we, at the beginning of the fiscal year, we basically scope out what we're hoping to get done that year. So I signed a contract in, over the summer with Horsley Witten. They've been our consultant on an ongoing basis, Lori Kennedy. And so we have them under contract to work on the stormwater regs and the other regs. And I sent Chris, he's got a copy of the scope and contract, which I'm sure he'd be happy to share with you guys. But basically the goal for fiscal 26 is to take that as far as we can. We might not get it all done. Horsley Witten, they've got a finite amount of billable hours within the budget. So we're just gonna keep pushing this a little at a time. Obviously with having, staffing shortages in both planning and conservation over the summer, it was not a good time to start that. Now that we're back up to full staffing in those offices, we did have a meeting yesterday with Lori and with our stormwater group, which includes, myself, Chris, Paul Savigny, our new conservation agent, Butch is part of that. Very good meeting. I know Paul has some very well-defined markups, and some of this goes back to when Michelle was here a couple of years ago. So it's just a matter of the next stage of the process of getting to where everything's internally consistent.
But is that a matter of pushing stuff forward so that the stuff at one point then rolls over to the stuff that's within our bailiwick?
No, I'm gonna ask that question a little differently. What is the role of the planning board in this
Right.
process?
You are the approving authority for the stormwater regs, you are the approving authority for the subdivision regs, the site plan regs, the special permit solely.
But what
not
about the
meeting.
writing of them? Is this, is Horsley Witten gonna do this?
Oh, yeah, they're gonna do it. They'll provide you red lines, but obviously they wanna, engage with you to make sure.
Regulation changes require public hearings, but not votes at town meeting.
Correct, yeah,
Yes.
and they're squarely under the authority of this one board.
And I assume a lot of these revisions can just be, for example, in some of these regs, just pointing at.
Correct, cross-referencing the stormwater,
Right.
that's exactly.
That language out.
Just like we
Exactly.
So it's
Yeah.
Horsley Witten who will make these changes, working on their
Suggested
own, suggested changes,
Yeah.
working on their own to the regs, which are our planning board held document.
Correct.
And we will confer with them to make
All the
sure that's all.
public hearings
Yep.
and.
So, the working group has identified the items, the nature of the items that need to be addressed.
For the stormwater regs,
Right.
not the subdivision and not the site plan and special permit, but the gist of it is
Okay.
exactly what Ray said. Is those were, largely adopted before there was a stormwater bylaw. So they're either duplicative or slightly inconsistent. So the
Right.
goal is to cross-reference, bring everything back to the stormwater bylaw.
So
But-
basically, first word,
We'll look at that.
Right.
They
Yeah.
will take our regs and say, here's where.
Exactly.
So they will do all that kind
Correct.
of bookkeeping type
Yep,
of stuff.
that's exactly right.
And then we'll work with them. So what's the time?
So.
For us to get them.
So we, really the end of the fiscal year, we have to do our annual report to EPA and DEP by September 30th of every year for the prior fiscal year. We just submitted it, 2 weeks ago for FY25. My office submits that. The town is regulated. We hold a permit, an MS4 permit. So part of our requirements for this plan year are to continue this work.
I understand. So will we
So-
start next week or next month?
Well,
or
so it's really, it's gonna be, Chris has got a kind of portfolio of things he's gonna be working on. It's gonna be really how that fits into the work plan. In terms of, I think it would be great to get the stormwater regs at least done ideally by late winter, so that people looking at development for next spring and summer
For sure.
know what the rules are and don't have a changing regulatory environment in April or May when they might already be in permitting. So I think that would be best. And I think the stormwater regs are really gonna be easy because, yeah, so Lori's scope, scope includes a couple of public meetings as well as a number of working meetings. So I know she'd be happy to come to a planning board meeting in the near term. That would be one of her meetings in the scope. So alternatively, you guys might wanna have someone sit in on a working group meeting or however you wanna do it, or, Chris is really here.
Yeah, he's there anyway.
So.
Yeah. So by late winter sounds great. But is Horsley wouldn't contractually obligated to get things to us in a timely fashion so we can complete that? by
They're gonna take cues from us. They're ready. They're further ahead than we are. We've been kind of holding them back because until we have proper staffing, it wasn't really timely.
So who on behalf of the town is gonna determine that schedule, the working group?
Well, so I signed a contract. I would, prior phases of their work, different people have been point person. Christine Wallace was for the stormwater bylaw. Paul was very hands-on. Since these regs are under the planning board's authority, I would look to Chris to be the point person with Lori.
No, I get that. I'm just looking
Yeah.
for, I'd love some dates, but.
right,
Oh, yeah, they're ready when you are. So why don't
Yeah,
you
well-
forward to the board the email I sent out to everybody, which has the excerpts of the contract, it's got the scope, it's got the deliverables,
great.
it's all spelled
Great,
out in
great.
detail.
All
and
right,
we could probably look at that. maybe.
so why don't we look at that on the 21st
Yeah. Great,
as planned, but now we have a much better idea of what it is.
what it is, yeah.
Trying to come up with a plan to accomplish this in the next 5 months, something like that.
So,
Work 5 months.
I have a note on my October 21st calendar,
Oh, I'm
and
sorry.
it says, no. It says pick 5 items on a planner's status list.
And the goal setting, the planning board was gonna do its goal setting for the
Yeah.
planner.
Oh, good lord.
Yeah.
Where is that list? I have no
Well,
idea.
yeah, there you go. I didn't link it on that.
I don't know where that is, but
I think Chris has it. Right, that Excel.
is that a list that you did or was that? from
No, it goes back
previous
a couple of years,
incarnation?
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, that's the one that had a lot of very out of
There were
date
a
stuff.
lot, but we thought we would
Did put it
pick around
Which ones?
Yes.
which ones on that list.
as well.
21st is good.
But I need to find the list, and I may need some help.
We need the forensics.
That's
That's right, boy, October 21st, it's so far away when we said that.
Is that list or not?
Yeah, those are the ones.
There were-
They must- I haven't
Yeah, but
from
in
Lee,
the
but
stuff I
Lee
went back to
did not-
Leah too.
So what I love to do, because I'm a list maker, is cross out about 85 things. And
Right.
feel very virtuous and then select a few new ones. But yeah, maybe Chris can resend those. We'll each look at that.
You can always talk about it next Tuesday briefly. Just,
Or on the 21st, or on the 21st.
21st.
Let's
We'll do it on
21st. I think it's gonna be a pretty short meeting.
We're trying.
I'm just, if there's some question on it.
Oh, yes.
Chris can answer.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it's redistributed and, yeah, right.
Okay,
So
so
does this allow us to go to cannabis?
does it allow us to?
Yeah,
You are impatient tonight,
I
Brian.
am.
I'm just gonna call you out on that.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm very impatient.
I know, I'm trying to calm things down. What would you like to say about that?
Nothing, I wanna know.
Is there any push from the state for us to
No, it's-
comply? or-
So the push is if you don't get something in place, you can go anyplace. So the question that needs to be answered is there a place that we want it? Correct? Is that a fair way to say it?
Yes, because the town voted in favor in the 2016 referendum. The town of West Newbury is required by law to allow cannabis related businesses and has been for many years.
Right.
You can either regulate that or not.
Right.
So far, the town has chosen not to regulate it because there has not been a bylaw brought forward.
No,
Places are closing, they.
No,
Yeah, I know, but still, you just don't wanna be surprised.
Right, you don't wanna be surprised because you don't wanna, you'd have to kind of look at everything to see where your exposure points are.
What,
Or you could just say it'll only be here.
So is this an overlay district that has to be a zoning thing that goes to town meeting, or what do we do?
It's a zoning bylaw.
So we
Yeah.
can't do anything about it till spring, so we need to
is there something as simple as saying that,
industrial district.
or commercial district?
I think you might not pass that.
Well, I think.
Fine, that's
No, but
fine.
that's exactly the questions that
Yeah.
come up. You can't necessarily say the industrial zone because if someone
Really
Took
looks at it.
took exception to it, says, no, I don't wanna be down there where you can't even get into the piece of property that's industrial. It maybe take a little more curation than.
Oh, yeah, we're just.
By the way, for the record, I endorse the direction in which Rob was pointing. I think that was towards the industrial district.
Yeah, we did a good job.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk about that on the 21st.
Good,
Um,
another 21st item.
well, but none of them should be.
Oh, no, this is good, you got a good.
Yeah, and frankly, to have something besides MBTA on our agenda reviews such a.
Yes.
We have a
Oh,
comment
side
from.
comment?
I believe there was an inquiry from up the town.
Yeah, there was.
You're,
It's interesting because I got an email just recently, just a standard Cannabis Control Commission listserv email. And it says in there that there are penalties for towns that are not in compliance. And so I forwarded that to Chris, just because where he's new, I said, hey, here's some background. A few years ago, the select board and my office had sent a memo to the planning board saying you really ought to be looking at this. I copied Sam Jocelyn, and Jen Geary. The next morning, Sam replied, said, oh, I was contacted by a prospective person last week. So
So,
that was a total coincidence, but
right,
we've
but.
been saying for years
But
there is
here's my
a
question.
exposure.
we have exposure.
But here's
have
my-
had
here's
exposure.
my question though,
We have had exposure for years.
If the town in 2016 voted to allow it, was there some statutory requirement on the
Yeah.
part of the state saying you had X years to?
No,
figure it out?
that was,
No, you
that's
just
been
leave
a
it so-
mandate for
Well, that's what
many
I'm-
years. This has been a
No,
mandate
I
since.
misunderstand, I
Yeah.
misunderstand. If we approved it,
Yeah,
did that approval language have explicit or implicit language saying, okay, in 2 years or 10 years or X years, you have to pick a spot?
no, it didn't give a timeline.
Okay, so we're not behind in that
Well,
regard.
what it
We're
is,
behind
it's
in
allowed
exposure,
today.
right?
It's allowed
I
today,
exactly.
understand that. But this is not that we're behind in arrears on
No,
what deadline we have.
no.
It's that
We don't
we
even,
want to address this sooner rather than later. I just wanna make sure this was not a statutory.
Wait, and I want to also be clear. I thought we were in compliance and it's to our option whether or
Yes,
not we
it
want
is.
to further regulate.
It
Are you
is.
saying we're not in compliance?
Well, what I'm saying is that it's similar to an adult entertainment use. So if someone goes to the building inspector and says, I wanna open a shop. Where does it fit in your zoning? Since we have chosen not to adopt a bylaw to regulate this, he would have to say, well,
Anywhere you want.
Yeah, which is what.
or the commercial, the retail,
yeah,
but
right.
that's
You know-
not where we wanna be.
right, you don't want behind the pizza place
Well,
certain stuff, that's all. It's a question we should answer
Right,
anyway.
but this is a matter, this is a town policy. I don't understand why only the planning board would decide this.
No, I agree, because
We're not,
you should have,
you're going to get town meeting.
No, just.
So you want the select board to take this on?
Well, no, not the bylaw, but, okay, I mean, we've been here before of going to town with a bylaw that, with a district determined and then not having it pass. I think it at least needs some serious input
Discussion.
among the wider
Yeah.
members of the town.
Yeah,
Before we get to a public hearing.
because to me, this is will of the town.
Exactly.
And we don't know, there could be people vehemently opposed to cannabis.
People who really want it downtown and people who
When
don't
we-
want it
Exactly.
anywhere.
When we did the battery storage, did we allow that anywhere in town?
It's got great restrictions on setbacks and stuff,
Exactly.
which ends up limiting it.
Which is a little bit of a similar question. In other words, to your point, there needs to be at least a discussion as to whether we care where it goes or not. Typical town reaction is, yeah, we probably do care. It may be just, it goes to the commercial zone and that's the end of it. We don't know that. We need to have discussions about it. Discussions need to be brought up. We may have people that are very concerned about it. Like Brian says, they're all biting the dust now anyways, but you know, at least if we don't take up the question, we would be remiss.
No, we're
That's all.
suggesting that we not take up the
Well-
question. I think we're suggesting, I wanted to clarify, first of all, the nature of the time constraints. To my mind, the nature of the time constraint is to have this thing thoroughly vetted, to come up with a bylaw by springtime meeting.
And it may be something as simple as putting it in, you know, as one more of those by permit
Yes, right.
kind of things.
Right.
But yeah, I don't have a feel for the town. I don't think that in my personal opinion carries any more weight than any other resident
Yeah,
in
no,
town.
that's right. Well, what we'll do is we'll begin to put it on agendas
Yeah.
and begin to have people
Yeah,
come and make this, you know?
We all
So we'll get there.
have some
Yeah.
thoughts and.
Yeah, we'll get there.
topics,
I
and,
would say this is
Let's hash that out first.
this is Brian speaking.
Yeah. Let's just hash out our opinions together, and then we will go from there.
If I could
Yes,
just add one important point for the discussion. There's 3 uses. There's cultivation, there's processing, there's retail. So those are not all the same uses and they're not
Not all the same
necessarily all the
place.
same
You're right.
appropriate locations, so.
Yeah.
All the way off and on.
In fact, we might be really big.
Not necessarily, I mean, cultivation and retail aren't really anything similar in terms of land use.
Understood, but
Sometimes they are co-located though.
Right.
yeah,
Like
I guess that's, I personally don't partake, so I don't know, but it's been my impression that it's often all in the same spot.
Yeah.
Your big cultivation thing,
No,
warehouse,
there's-
and then.
Many more retail.
There are a lot
locations.
of little
Yeah,
retails
A
that
lot
are
of
just like
retail,
any
and
kind
they
of.
all feed from these,
Right.
Oh,
like a huge place on Route 1 and
There,
stuff.
there are
Yeah,
people that
giant
will run the
resources.
farms and then people that distribute the product.
Gotcha.
But anyways, thank you, Amy,
All right.
that was a good clarification. I'm interested in cultivation myself. but that should be-
There are all kinds of issues.
All right,
having to
agricultural
do with
committee.
energy use,
And we're primed, we're not.
having to do with,
Didn't
they aren't, it's not field agriculture.
We did have the right to farm bylaw, maybe that's.
Heavy intensity of electricity. and
I'd like to
energy
encourage it, but
density.
only organic.
The way you do it, you locate it next to the battery storage so that they never run out of lights.
All right, well,
Understand.
that will come along in our discussions.
All right.
I think that's it. Any items not reasonably anticipated? Chris, anything that you know of?
Nope.
Chris, if you want to just forward to the board the email I sent to you last week, because that's got like some backgrounds
About what
about
cannabis?
the cannabis, yeah.
So, yeah, we'll get that all
Yeah,
together.
it's stronger before they went to
For
Parliament.
the 21st, yeah. So on the 21st, I am
Yeah.
working on the annual report,
These certain things,
trying to kick off some kind of a rough calendar type of thing for the stormwater regs, working with a consultant looking at scope. The goals, which we'll have to find the document they're listed in, and, how to think about proceeding on the cannabis location question.
That sound like a good agenda to start, Chris?
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
You okay, Chris? I'm a little worried about you sitting over there.
I'm fine. Thank you.
All right, motion to adjourn,
Second.
all in favor?
Yes, this is what we can do for all raising hands.
Right.
Right, Deb?
Good night.
Okay.
Get better, Deb.
I'll be fine.
Yep, Wendy. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
See you next time. Bye.
Take care. No, not within the meeting, but are you sending out thanks to Merrimack Valley Planning for the support that they've given us?
They're employees.
You and Ian, I don't know.
And it's just,
No, you can still thank.
I've been told they've been thanked.
They've been thanked.
Thank you.
In at the meeting, I probably.
I got no problems.
Right, thank you. You still gotta tell people that, I mean, this.
Do you thank your server when they bring you?
Yes, there is absolutely, I think, all employees, I think, Chris,
I'm thanking
Chris right now, thank you, Chris.
That's something to teach it.
I thought it looked very serious, although, I was trying to get words.
You know, the amount of people I pay that I don't end up thanking, it always me. All right.
And by the way.
There you go.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.